Welcome to the conversation part of the Upper Bowl podcast. We have a content creator and ambassador for the Raider Nation. He's on a Guinness World Record run attempt to go to the most NFL games for the 2025 NFL regular season. He's going to games 28, 29, and 30 for week 10 of the NFL season, starting out seeing his Las Vegas / Oakland / Los Angeles Raiders take on the Denver Broncos for Thursday Night Football, then going to Minnesota for the Vikings and Ravens games, and then ending the week 10 slate at Monday Night Football for Eagles Packers at the frozen tundra, people are saying, called Lambeau Field. I'd like to welcome to the Upper Bowl podcast, Brian Fowler. Brian, how are you doing? And I got to say, your YouTube channel is perfect, by the way, because I discovered you during week 1 when we went to Philly for the Eagles-Cowboys game. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Trevor. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
Good
to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I gotta say that the videos are I always like the nice vlogosphere. Like, I don't know what you call it, like a vlog thing. See what you go through all the time with all the crazy fans. What did you first think when you went to week 1, starting Thursday Night Football for Eagles Cowboys? I got to see what did you think of that game, by the way?
Well, that was electric because the fans were celebrating. That was their the Lombardi reveal, and the atmosphere and the tailgate beforehand was crazy. Now, I always wear my Raider gear, and I've heard a lot about Philly fans. That was my first time at the link, but I didn't have any problems. I think maybe a lot of the rumors are a little overstated, but maybe it's because I wasn't wearing a Cowboys jersey, though. I think it might have been a different experience. Perhaps, but we'll see. I go to Philly for a Raiders-Eagles game later in the year, so we'll see how they treat me then.
So I will tell you this: I'm an Eagle fan. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I tell this. I'm an Eagle fan. I grew up with Eagle Giant games. That's the most. The Eagle Giant game to me is more my favorite rivalry. The Eagles Cowboy game is like, it's there. It's not my favorite one to go to, but it's like, funny enough, I've been to Texas a lot, and I was like, what's your thing? I was like, I don't like the Cowboy fans. Have never been to the state of Texas, and I just think they're just useless anyways to me. That's what I always say. Like, I always say this. I'm gonna give you this pro tip. When you go to Vegas for the Cowboy Raider game, ask a Cowboy fan, like, do you know where Coppell, Texas is, or Frisco, Texas? If they have no idea where that is, like, don't talk to me. You don't know shit anyways.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm thinking about that, and I think there's a lot of fan bases. The Eagles have a great fan base.
Yeah.
Probably expanding with them winning a couple of Super Bowls, obviously in Philly, hardcore, right?
Yeah.
But you've got these like Packers, Steelers, Raiders, I would put in there that have a national fan base.
Legacy franchise fan bases.
Yeah, that I remember the first Raider game I went to in the Midwest. I met Raider fans from West Virginia. Had they ever been to Oakland before?
No.
I doubt it. I don't know that they had, but they were fans. So I don't know. I don't know if I would hate on somebody for not knowing about the area.
No, it's just I always say, because I deal with I didn't deal with a Cowboy fan until 2006 anyways. It's all because Terrell Owens. I was like, okay, cool, sweet. Anyways, and then I went to college. I was like, oh, I'm a Cowboy fan because I didn't want to be a Browns or Steeler fan or Packer fan or Bengal fan. I was like, what the hell anyways? So that's why. So I always wondered, because I see your videos, they're perfectly filmed and documented perfectly, because you see almost everything. And then you see, like, I always like to see what the fan base is. You went to the hottest game of all, which is the Tampa Eagle game, which I was at, and that was like the sweatiest of all the sweatiest games, I will say, in my lifetime.
Wow. Yeah. The funny thing about that game, it was so humid, and everyone was drenched. You could see it on everyone's clothing. And I realized that I had a bottle of Gatorade, a bottle of water.
Yep.
And I think I had a beer, and at no point did I actually go use the restrooms, because everyone's just it's kind of disgusting to talk about on the podcast. Sorry about that. No, it's just like, it's just coming out of your pores, Yeah. It was so hot, man.
It was the hot. Like, I live down here, and like, one thing I tell this to everyone, like, no, if your team's coming in September, go at your own risk if you want to. It's not like a game up north. It's like, oh, it's hot, but it's like, it's livable, Like, that's like, it's like soup weather, we call it. I call it.
Yeah. That's good.
So that's why. All right, tell me about you're a Raider fan.
Yes.
Do you what city do you claim the Raiders to be, more Oakland or Los Angeles? I got to ask.
Well, I think I am Los Angeles Raider. I grew up a LA Raider, Dodger, Laker fan, and I grew up in Central California. I was right in between Oakland and LA. So at the point at which they moved back to Oakland, I was totally fine with it. I was never a Bay Area sports guy. I was more LA
Yeah.
focus, even though I was right in the middle.
Yeah.
Half of my school was Niners, half was Raiders, and then a few other teams here and there. But yeah, when they went back to Oakland, I was okay with it because it was where they were originally from, and it just made sense. The vibe there was excellent. By the time they moved to Vegas, a lot of people asked me, "Are you going to stick with them?" Like, of course you don't. I mean,
Yeah.
that's out of the question to like leave. I think the only way it would change is there was rumors of them going to San Antonio, right? If they went to San Antonio and were called like the Spurs or something like that, completely change the franchise. Okay, that might be a thing. But they're still the Raiders. They're in Vegas. I'm in LA. It's easier to get to Vegas, to be honest. It's a 4-hour drive, 7-hour drive. So I like it there. I love the stadium. It's beautiful. It feels Raiders with a little bit of Vegas mixed in. The vibe is different though, and everybody knows it. So there's no talking around that. The vibe is definitely different, less crazy, less wild, and more opposing fans want to go because they want to make a weekend out of Vegas. Nobody wanted to do it in Oakland.
Do you miss the crazy vibe of Oakland? Like when you go to the Raider game? Because I feel like for me, when I grew up, when I see like a Raider game on television, like early 2000s, like this is the one game I always bring up. Raiders Niners 2002, the Battle of the Bay. I thought that was the most electric crowd of all time I've ever seen between two fan bases, not NFC, like East or anywhere else. I look at like, that's a crowd I love anyways. I kind of miss that crowd anyways.
It's gone. It's gone. And I think there's a lot of conflict within Raider Nation. I'll tell you the reason. What fixes everything is winning, and we're not doing it. So that's the problem. But because we're losing, it's allowing this like energy to fester where Oakland fans are saying this, Vegas fans are saying that, but people forget so much of Raider Nation is between Oakland and LA anyway. That Central Valley of California is loaded with Raiders. So it's not all about Oakland, LA, but the vibe's different. And, you get a lot of like, oh, these Vegas fans, like I've been called that before. It's funny because I don't even live in Vegas. I live in LA, but it's just kind of a weird thing. And I think the only thing that can fix it and the only thing that can fix the opponents coming in is a little bit of time and success, and the time is important because every time a team has their first visit in Vegas, it's ridiculous. The first time the Vikings came, they packed that place and they told us we started booking our travel back in 2019 when y'all announced you were moving to Vegas. It's like, great. Yeah. So a little bit of time's necessary, but yeah, it's been tough.
I always say when I see it was like I saw the Eagles going out there the first time post COVID, and I was like, oh, I want to go. Let me see tickets. I saw $500 upper deck. Like, I'll go for the third round because the tickets will be a little cheaper and everyone's got their cycle, and you know what I mean.
I went to that game 2021, and Raiders took it, and actually, I think they tried to. It wasn't exactly a tush push. I think Hurts tried to go over the top, and Raiders shut it down, and that was one of the key plays to us getting that win. But yeah, 2021 we were good. We made the playoffs, but since then, Josh McDaniels came in, completely dismantled the playoff team, and now we're just in this back to this rotation of coaches, QBs, and nonsense.
Is he the biggest turd that ever came into the Raiders organization?
Yeah, I mean he's up there with Jamarcus Russell, I'd say.
Yeah. I was like, people will say the Lane Kiffin era, but I actually like the Lane Kiffin era because that was like you had drama and you can talk about nationally, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, like Josh McDaniels came in and got benched Derek Carr, sat him for the last 2 games of the season before we were actually eliminated from playoffs, by the way. And then, I had some plan, but I don't know. Nobody knows what the plan was. And that was my biggest problem with it. Because there were some people that were ready to move off Carr. It had been too long. He hadn't won playoff games, but he was stability. And he gave you a chance to win every time. And that was important, right? And I was just like, what's the plan? Are we just going to go back to this thing of a revolving door with QBs? And now here we are, Geno Smith. He has the most interceptions in the league, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, true. All right. Let's talk about this world record attempt that you're doing.
Yeah.
What are the prerequisites for this world record, by the way? Because I'm really intrigued because I am going to say this to you right now. I'm probably going to go to that Raider Eagle game in December, by the way. So
we should meet up. Yeah.
We definitely going to meet up. Give me what are the prerequisites for this thing? Because I was trying to figure this out because I saw your Twitter post. It was like very long. It's like I'd rather have let me have him explain it to us anyways.
That's a good idea. Yeah, it's more complicated than it should be. But the simple summary is that I'm going for 2 records. I'll explain the main one, which is to go to the most NFL games in a regular season. The current record is 33 games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going for 56 games. which is way over the current record. But there's two reasons why I'm doing that. Number one, I feel like at some point I'm going to miss games because of a canceled flight or a delay, or I get sick. And by the way, the government shutdown right now is really heating up. The next week or so is going to be critical because their air traffic control might shut down and I might miss some games. But if I aim for 56 and end up at 50 or even 45 or 40, I'll still be good. If I were to aim for like 35 and I miss a few games, then I'm in trouble. So that was one reason. The other reason is the current record holders are Aaron and Hope. They're from LA. They're Charger fans. They did it 2 years ago. And there's a part of me that knows at some point somebody's going to beat my record. Even if I get 56, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to beat it. You know, the NFL is going to have 20 weeks in the season at some point. They're going to add games on Tuesdays or whatever. And, you know, there's going to be a point somebody beats it. I just wanted it to maybe last a little bit longer. But I'm ready for somebody to beat it. I just thought, let me set the bar high. And if somebody really does it, I'm going to have a tremendous amount of respect for that.
Which I like. Someone's got to set the bar high anyways. Like 30, 35 is like, okay, I always feel when you look at it, it's like, did he just go to Charger games only? Or did he just go to like, that's why when I see the records like 35, like,
well, you know, I have to say, because I Monday night in Dallas was my 27th game, and I have to say, 33 is a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. I feel it. You know, it's a lot of travel, and I'm doing a lot to try to save to keep the costs as low as possible. So there's a lot of red eye. Sometimes I'm sleeping in airports. Because especially East Coast games on Monday night or Thursday night, they finish at 11:30 p.m.
They're awful,
and I'll get a flight back at like 6 a.m. Right, so I'm boarding at 5:30. You know, by the time you get out of the stadium, get out of the parking lot, go to the airport, it's already 1 a.m. I got like 4 hours to kill, and then I just get on the plane and sleep. So
that's actually pretty smart, anyways. Because I always say this. I did my first ever West Coast Sunday night football game. That's the only time I'm gonna do Sunday night football now. I've came to terms now with my life. 5 o'clock. You're
did it
out
feel like morning?
No, it was perfect. Anyways, I saw the Eagles Rams last year. I was like, this is perfect. Anyways, I enjoyed the morning. I could watch whatever shitbag early game. I think it was like Raiders, Cowboys, Redskins. Anyways, and then it was like the Niners and we're getting blown out by the Packers. Like this is perfect. It's to drive to and just like enjoy the Eagle game late. Anyways, I personally like that layout a little more. Anyways, that's the one thing I hate about primetime games on the East Coast. They're great for they're good, but it's awful for the fan. Anyways.
So late, yeah. That was at that Eagles Giants Thursday night game when Scatterboo, and that was a good game, man. Giants got you on that one. I know you got them back, but that was a good game, but it was really late, you know. And now we got the time change just happened. The weather's turning, so like those late games on the East Coast are going to be a little tougher. The second half of the season is going to be harder than the first half. For sure.
How did you map this out, by the way? I got to ask you. What did you like map it out like when you look at it, like when you look at the schedule? Yeah, the Thursday night ones and the Thursday night and the Monday night you can do no problem. How'd you map out the Sunday games?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the mapping actually ties directly into the second record. So let me just say what that record is, because the mapping is more associated with that. The other record is the fastest time to go to all 32 teams' home stadiums.
Oh.
And so you've got this first record of just going to the most games. They could be anything. I could stay in LA every Sunday and go to a Chargers or Rams game and just rack up, you know, and then just fly out to the Thursday, Monday. But this other one is fastest time to go to all 32 teams, basically. And the current record there is 74 days, and I've got it mapped out to do it in 72 days and 20 hours. And Guinness even goes down to the minute. Like they'll take the start of the first game and the end of the 32nd game, and they go down to the minute. This is the record, right? So with that one, that one's really tricky to map out, because what you have to do is it's only about a little more than 2 months of the season's 4 months, right? So it's a subset of the season, but you have to look at every Monday, Thursday game and figure out where teams are playing, because if there's a team that has too many of those Monday, Thursday games, you can't go to them twice to satisfy that record. It's just one time. So if the Chiefs are playing a Thursday and a Monday that are close together, you lose days there, right? And it's okay to do that. I think the only one I have is during this 32 game stretch to get that record, I go to the Broncos twice, but only one of those Bronco games will work, but they're both primetime, right? So you have to map it out in a way where you have to figure out which week can you start on where there's not multiple teams who have multiple Thursday, Monday games. And when I started looking at the season, it's like, okay, if I start here, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And once you find the sweet spot, and I found a stretch where only the Broncos had 2 of those Monday, Thursday games, then I was able to say, great, here are all the teams that are on Monday, Thursday. What's left? Put those on Sunday. Find out which weeks they're home and map that out. So that's where I started. And that was my 32 games. It's kind of in the middle of the season, right? So I knew exactly where I was going for those 32. And then, you've got a few weeks before that and a few weeks after that, where then I can basically decide I can go anywhere I want. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to the Raider games before and after, so that most of the Sundays are Raider games. So I'm traveling to where they are. Could be Vegas, could be somewhere else. And then beyond the Raider games, it's just going to wherever the Monday, Thursday game is. So that's how I mapped it out.
That's cool, actually. Like, what's the one stadium you've not been to yet that you want to go to? That have you been to all 32, or is there one that you look forward to?
I have 2 left.
Okay, what do you have left?
At the beginning of the season, I had gone to about 21 stadiums, I think, and then I've added some more since then. The 2 I have left are Minnesota, which is this weekend.
Okay.
And then Houston, which will be the following weekend, I think, or maybe it's the weekend after. But Minnesota and Houston are the last 2 I have. I hadn't been to Dallas. I hadn't been to AT&T until Monday night.
Okay.
So I just went to that, and that was nice to check off. Really impressive. I think I'm glad I was there for a night game because I hear the sun coming through during the day games can be problematic, but
Yeah, definitely. What's been the biggest thing when you see like there's been connecting flights? Because I know a lot of flights it's like you have to find like there's some places in the Midwest it's like it's impossible to get a flight to direct anyways.
Oh yeah.
What's the worst layover you've done so far?
The worst one's Green Bay, because most everything goes through Chicago. And if there's a game, especially on a Monday or Thursday, everyone's trying to take that flight. And so it's a mess and it's very expensive. Like sometimes I'll get a flight from LA to the East Coast on Southwest for like $70. But the flight from the flight from Chicago to Green Bay was like $400 just for that leg, not even the LA to Chicago. It was insane.
Wow.
I intended to drive. I was going to fly to Chicago, rent a car, drive to Green Bay because it's not far.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what happened was I booked that rental car, booked the flight to Chicago, and I was still waiting for the guidelines from Guinness. And the Guinness guidelines are very specific. They're detailed and they're hard. It's actually been the hardest part of the trip.
Yeah.
But one of the rules is I cannot drive. I can't drive during the journey.
What the heck?
Yeah. I mean, I can drive. Like today I'm home, I can drive to the grocery store. But the minute I'm leaving to go to the airport on a trip, like tomorrow morning, I fly to Denver. I will take a train from the Denver airport to Union Station, walk to the stadium, and then go and then reverse that. But I'm not allowed to drive. And everybody else like, why? That doesn't make sense. And to be honest, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. I think I'm speculating it's a liability or safety issue. I think maybe something happened. They specifically say they can't condone a race against the clock situation. In other words, somebody driving around trying to go to as many stadiums as possible and causing havoc on the roads or injuring people or whatever,
That's
but
true.
the funny thing is I'm never going to 2 games in one day. It's always just one game. And I looked into that. There's, if you take a Sunday early game plus the night game, could you do it? Maybe. There's a few stadiums, like Baltimore and DC and Philly Giants. There's some that are close enough. It's pretty tight if you're going to drive, just considering getting out of parking lots and out away from the stadium usually takes an hour and then you got to drive. But it's possible, but you also have to find a week where that actually works because you got to find like DC, Baltimore, Giants, or Philly playing on a Sunday night. And then does the counterpart play in the early game or in the late game, or at home? Maybe they're way. Anyway, long story short, there weren't any weeks where I could go to 2 games. And once I found out I couldn't drive, then it makes it even harder. Maybe you could do an Amtrak, but it's just getting out of the stadium. So that was one of the rules that was disappointing. And then immediately I canceled the rental car from Chicago to Green Bay, went to book the flight, and that's where it was like $400.
Jesus.
It's an hour.
Yeah. How much is How much airlines frequent flyer miles have you gotten from Southwest, or do you use other airlines usually? Because I know good old Minnesota is only like Delta usually.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm a little scared about this. For the first time ever, I'm flying to Minnesota in Frontier, which
Oh
is,
God.
it's going to be really scary. I don't know if I'm going to make it. That could be the first one I miss. We'll see. But I'm using any airline. I have an account with like a rewards account with every
Yeah.
airline now because American's my main one, and I had a lot of miles. I've used them all. But as I spend money on the journey, I'm kind of racking up miles again. So I'll kind of rack them up, use them, rack them up, use them. But I also have United, Delta, Southwest. Those are the main ones outside of this one Frontier adventure I'm about to go on.
That is crazy. So, I think the big game you were at recently was besides Monday Night Football game, I was doing I did Dolphin postgame for QAM. You were at the Miami Dolphins Ravens game. What was your thoughts on that? Anyways, I personally, I always say this about the Miami fan, especially during this year, is make your voice heard, do something crazy, get something happen. What were your thoughts when you saw the Dolphin fans with the bags on their face? By the way,
empathy. I've certainly been there. I had a
yeah,
conversation with the Dolphin fan. Two Raiders, Dolphins, two legacy teams from the AFL, major in the 70s, winning Super Bowls, that sort of thing. And now being in a 20 to 30 year cycle of changes and losing, it's really tough. So I think the main thing is empathy. I totally get it. It's, I think about that kid that's a Jets fan too, went viral recently saying that he hates the team and that sort of thing. It's got to be tough. We have a lot of young Raider fans, and it's like, oh, what are we putting them through? Just seeing losing all the time.
Just show him some Charlie Garner highlights. You'll be good to go anyways.
There we go.
show a little Charlie Garner versus Steelers. Give him that.
Yeah.
Or maybe some Tim Brown like nailing a slant, and you'll be good to go. Show him some Rich Gannon highlights and just find him like,
right.
I want a Rich Gannon jersey.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. What's been the most easiest stadium to travel to, would you say? Like transportation wise?
That's a great question. Well, I'll set SoFi aside because it's 3 miles from my house. Although I can't drive there, so I actually took a bus last time I went to SoFi.
Oh wow!
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. So that one for me is the easiest, of course, because it's here. Outside of that, it's cities where the hard ones are like KC and Buffalo, where the stadium is outside of the city. Mm-hmm. Because there's not a lot of public transport going out there. I did find in Buffalo a bus that would go from the city out there, but it's like in the suburbs. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Green Bay is fantastic because they have a whole bus line dedicated to the game day, even when it's a primetime night game.
Wow.
And there's like 4 different buses that go different routes, and I remember I was on the Cheesehead route from the airport directly to the stadium and back. And
wow,
that was fantastic. And it's so small there too. But the problem is getting to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Outside of that, a lot of cities have trains that you can take. Denver's got a train that goes into downtown. There's a little bit of a hike afterwards. Yeah, I think those, let me think. Pittsburgh wasn't bad. I took a bus from the airport into town. That was easy. I like that. I got to a point, I started the year taking a lot of Ubers or taxis from the airport. But to be honest, those were probably the most expensive part of the journeys. Like from the airport, it'd be like $60, $70. Mm-hmm. It's like Dallas is terrible because that stadium doesn't have any public transportation around it. At least not.
It's all Ubers. It's all Ubers, Lyfts, everything. It's
and I was coming from Love Field Airport. It was $100 taxi ride from the airport to the stadium. It was, and that wasn't a flat thing where they were just ripping me off. It was a metered thing.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, unless maybe they were juicing the meter, but
probably they were probably juicing it. No worries. That's what taxi guy does, anyways. They need the money. Anyway, so what was your So you went to that. You do a lot of Thursday night games. What's the one Monday night game that you've checked? You see that you're ready to see anyways live in person? Would you say, since you were a casual observer for the Monday night game when it's not the Raiders?
When it's not the Raiders, I was going to say the Raiders Cowboys coming up. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah.
You know, going forward, I'm not exactly sure what Monday night games are, and I apologize. I should have my schedule in front of me, but I can't keep track like beyond this weekend. I know where I'm going the next 3 games. After that, I'm not so sure. I know
Okay.
there's some things like one game I'm really excited about is Thanksgiving in Detroit because it's like
Ooh,
such a tradition and I've seen it on TV for so
you'll
many
love it. It's
years.
fun. You'll
Yeah.
have a.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. Have you gone on a Thanksgiving?
I did Thanksgiving 2017 Vikings Lions actually.
Amazing. That
Yes.
is awesome. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
really looking for I know that's not Monday night, but I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Next couple Monday night games you got is you have besides after Eagles Packers you have Cowboys Raiders Panthers 49ers, a classic NFC rivalry game I call it. Giants Patriots Chargers Eagles Dolphins Steelers depending if it gets flexed or not. Colts Niners Colts and the last one is Rams Falcons by the way.
Yeah, I guess the Panthers Niners, that's the McCaffrey Bowl, isn't it?
Yeah.
That game that's the only one I'm worried about because the record for the fastest time to go to 32 games, the thing about that record is that if I miss one game, the attempt is done. There's no rescheduling because it's so precisely mapped out. And
Yeah.
the reason why I'm worried about that Niner game is the NFL has rules on their flex schedule in moving games, but it starts at a certain week. That is the one and only game that the NFL could move that affects the fastest record. So if they move that, even though it's like game number 28 out of 32 or whatever, then the whole attempt is. So I'm really like looking forward to seeing that it's good that the Panthers are winning, sort of. They're like 500. It's good that they're winning because if they were terrible, maybe the league would consider. They're 5-4 now. Yeah, they beat the Packers this weekend, didn't they?
Yes, they did. It was a very
It's
entertaining.
also hard for me to follow what's going on in the rest of the league because it's just on Sunday there's so much going on, and I kind of see highlights, kind of see scores, and I'm trying to do the vlog after the game too, so I'm not getting a lot of time to like ingest all of the other games and content, what's going on out there. So yeah, the Eagles Chargers, that one I'm interested in because obviously Eagles are a powerhouse. Chargers on the they're kind of this team that's like they're always kind of good, but then they choke at the end.
Yeah.
Are they a contender or not? And it's just to prove it, beat the Eagles on the road on a Monday night. Then I'll be a little more
home for the Eagles. Home for the Eagles. It's gonna be the Eagles' biggest sports bar, I call it anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
That's awesome. What's the one stadium takeover you've seen that of all the opposing fans, would you say?
The biggest takeover this year, let's see.
Because the Raven fans was entertaining. For me, the Raven fan taking over the Dolphins was my entertainment for me anyways, because I was hearing it and people didn't notice that. I was like, how could you hear? I was like, it's Baltimore fans. You could hear when they're doing the Seven Nation Army chant anyways.
There were a ton. That whole visitor side was purple.
Oh, yeah.
It was quite a lot. There were a ton of Bills fans in Atlanta as well, but I think the Atlanta Falcons kind of shocked them all. I think they went in there expecting to win that game, and Falcons just punched them in the mouth. I don't know what to think of.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of the Bills or the Falcons anyway. The Falcons are just fugazi to me. That's why. It's like good 1 week, bad 1 week. Don't know what's going to happen with you anyways. Bills, it's like I don't trust them, period, right now.
Yeah, I think the Ravens might have been the most takeover. I think they were also excited. Lamar was back.
Yep.
Dolphins aren't very good. They're kind of lost. So that was a pretty big takeover.
Did you like that Eagle fan takeover? All the Eagle fans taking over Tampa, would you say?
That was up there. That's a good point. That one was really up there, which was surprising because I mean the Bucs are good. But coming off a Super Bowl, the Eagles fans, I see them the most this year after the Raiders. Sorry, the Raiders I see 11 times, but I think the Eagles I see either 6 or 7 times this year. And because they have all these primetime games because they won the Super Bowl, of course.
Yeah. Which I hate and I also love too anyways. Like for me, I hate it because I can't use my Sunday ticket half the time anyways.
Yeah. But that was a huge takeover. I was surprised by the amount of Eagle fans. Well, let me ask you something, because
Go.
it's funny when I see Eagle fans in the stadium, I notice that they're always wearing the lighter green,
The Kelly
jersey.
green, yeah.
The Kelly green, yeah. And to me, I the darker green that the players do, I like the lighter green. I like the Kelly green. Like, I kind of wish they'd go back to that. I'm wondering how Eagles fans feel about that.
Okay, this is a common sports radio question in Philadelphia then. All right. For me, I think it's cool as an alternate. I like the black alternate. It's my favorite.
Mm.
I grew up with the midnight green. That to me represents winning. That's why. Kelly Green to me is like, oh, it's a throwback. This Reggie White, Randall Cunningham. They just didn't win. They went to one Super Bowl in the Kelly Green. The midnight green represents a winning era of like Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, Brian Westbrook, Michael Vick, Deshaun Jackson, like everyone from that. Like to me, the midnight green to me represents a winning culture. That's where the winning time of Philadelphia football.
That's a good answer. There's a lot of emotion behind it.
Like I love the throwback Kelly, like Eagles, like snapbacks and stuff. But I love, like those are great. Those are good for fashion, good for like merchandising, and so the guy from Spaceballs would say. I just think it's like I love the midnight green. That's what I grew up on. Like some of the stuff is cool. Still, the old midnight green stuff is anyways. Like when it first came out, it was like any of the vintage stuff was like okay, cool. But like anything from like 2002 on, it was like perfect anyways.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I appreciate that response. I remember there was a point in the league where I think it was like an attitude team where a lot of teams started changing to darker. Eagles changed to a darker. The Patriots went darker. The Rams did that gold and dark navy.
I love that that Rams in navy and gold. Anyway, that's probably the most underrated color change of all time.
You like that one? See, I do. For me, I actually got tired of that, and I felt like it was just I don't know. It just, to me, the football NFL is so great, partially because of television.
Agree.
The whole Sunday and all the games, and now with like HD and 4K, everything looks so amazing. And to not have color, I think kind of stinks. I think there's been a shift back, right? Like the Rams have shifted back. The Chargers wear their powder blue. So many teams have shifted back to like having color in their actual uniforms and not just trying to wear like Raider uniforms.
Yeah, like for me, it's like I look at it like this. Like there's some teams that could do the throwbacks well. Like the Dolphins do it well. I personally like the San Diego Supercharger, Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison. I love that look the most anyways.
Yeah.
People give me the most crap for it. It's like, why? It's like, it just looks cool. That's why to me. I think of LaDainian Tomlinson, like when they wore like this one, like I don't like it. The before that one, like okay, that's fine, But that represented to me like winning football in those two unis. There's some unis that are like the Cardinals. When I think of like this new one, like no, get out of here. Just go back to what you had before, anyways.
You have a style. It's clear. I mean, from the ones you mentioned, from the Rams, the Chargers, and Eagles, all of them, you like that darker look.
The darker look looks cool, anyways.
It's like an age thing. I'm a bit older, but I think of it like superhero movies because there was a time around 2000, which coincidentally was around the time that teams sort of changed it to darker colors. We have like X-Men coming in, instead of the blue and yellow, they're coming in with like black leather, right?
Yeah.
And all these superheroes were kind of trying to be Batman. They were doing all these dark colors. And then after a while, Marvel with Iron Man came around. It was like, oh, here's just red and yellow. And then bright colors started coming in. And now, it's like, oh yeah, we have superhero costumes again, not these like dark brooding colors and things like that. I feel the same way about the league. NFL kind of shifted to dark, and now it's kind of shifting back. So
yeah, like the Tampa does a good job with the throwbacks. Those are a good one to bring like the creamsicles.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, the silver helmet, the old AFC West homage to those are cool.
Yeah.
Like there's some ones that are good. Like for me, the Kelly Green gets played out a lot. There's some teams that have not tapped into their old throwbacks yet. Like I wish the Bengals went back to the 90s uniforms, but no one wants to because that's a lost decade of football anyways.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the teams. Like the Ravens, they don't have that many throwbacks.
Right.
The Patriots, like they do Pat Patriots, like that's cool, but I like the in your face flying Elvis jersey anyways.
Yeah.
With like Curtis Martin stuff. So
yeah,
that's how I see it anyways.
Nice.
That's how I view it. Like there's some teams that do it well, like the Dolphins, they don't announce when they're wearing the throwbacks, but if they do anyways. But like that's the common talking point. Like it's like Philly is like Eagles gonna go back to Kelly Green. Like, no, the Dolphins go back to classic logo anyways. So that's how I see it. What's been your favorite Super Bowl city? You Super Bowl, all the stadiums, the stadiums you've been to. What's been the best stadium that's hosted a Super Bowl in your opinion?
Well, I think there's some recency bias because I had not been to Atlanta before this year, and when I went to Mercedes-Benz, I was really blown away by it. Because I've seen it on TV, but it's different when you're there. The building itself is crazy. The architecture, the design is insane, but the way it's built on a hill, and there's even a massive escalator that takes you down to a tailgating area, and it's just very, very unique and very strange. And then once you get inside the dome, I knew there was an opening, retractable roof, but the way it opens and the way it looks is like, it's like this circle metal sci-fi thing that comes out, and I was just really impressed by it. Again, I'd seen it on TV, but being there, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And they have like the cheapest food and drink of all the league, and it's very intentional by ownership to do that. So
yeah, good job. Good job to the Falcons on that one.
What's that?
Good job on the Falcons for that one, because stadium food's outrageous these days.
Yeah. I've actually, one question I get a lot is what stadium has the best food? I can't answer it because first of all, I get busy because I'm trying to vlog, but I'm also trying to do all these Guinness requirements that I have to do in the stadium. And sometimes I don't eat at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you know what, let me just grab, what do they have? Nachos. Okay, great. Or a hot dog. Boom. I was in Lambeau, got a hot dog. I'm like, how do I compare this hot dog that I randomly got in Lambeau with the, nachos I got in Atlanta or whatever? So I think there's a lot of other people that do social media and do like food specific things. So I'd point people to them because I can't focus on the food, and it's so expensive. I calculated like, oh man, if I ate at every stadium for 56 games, that's gonna add like another $5,000 to the trip. So
maybe 600, maybe $6,000, depending on.
I mean, it gets up there quickly,
Definitely. Do you like what's the word? What's the one stadium you've been to you just don't want to ever see again? Like for me, it's Washington.
Washington's pretty bad. The location's terrible too.
It's awful.
Yeah,
it's the worst to drive into, by the way. I'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah, and I kind of got stuck there one Monday night years ago. It was like 2017, I think, because we took the train in to get there. Now you can take the train, but there's a mile walk after you arrive.
Yep, I know where that's at, anyways.
But on that night game, the train shut down. They didn't take anybody back, so everybody that took a train in was then waiting for rideshare, and it was a nightmare. So that one was pretty bad.
Yeah, Washington.
I'm pretty hard on SoFi, and I admit I'm overly hard. It's become kind of a running joke in my vlogs to make fun of SoFi. The thing is it looks amazing. It's just the architecture is insane, crazy. There's a lot of technology in the stadium that's cool. It's just the navigation, and I might be holding on to the first couple of years that it was open, but getting around the parking lot, getting in and out of the stadium, there's this south side of the stadium where there's so much parking, and it's the pink lot where the tailgates are insane. But to get from the stadium to those parking lots, first of all, they have a giant lake, so obviously nobody's walking there. And then they have all this nice grass, a little creek, and they have these two little tiny bridges, and you've got like half of the stadium, 30,000 people coming out and trying to go across these two tiny bridges, and it just gets jammed up. Just everything about the navigation in SoFi is pretty tough, and the audio is terrible in SoFi. Every time the announcer comes on, you can't hear anything. So really? I'm constantly ripping SoFi, but it's also kind of a rivalry with the division rival thing too. So
definitely for sure. Yeah. What's the you've not been to Houston?
Sorry, Chicago is terrible. Soldier Field is awful, and they need a new stadium, and I think they're working on it. So I really didn't like Chicago at all.
Have you been are you going to Nashville this year, or does that not happen in the rotation?
I am going. I haven't gone yet. I've been there once before for a Raider Titan game, and that stadium to me, I don't have like super positive or it's just the stadium. You go in, you watch the football, and then you leave. For me, the adventure was the city and all the music. I just had an incredible time in Nashville, so I love that.
That's a good one. Jacksonville, what are your thoughts on that one? Because I've been there, and that is.
So before this season, by the way, I had done 3 seasons of vlogging Raider games, and I had a streak of 59 games. So this
Yeah.
is why I had hit many of the stadiums. And the first season I did it, 2022, I went to Jacksonville. It was mid-season, and I was just like, this is the worst stadium and city ever. And I had 2 nights booked there, and after the game, we lost, so maybe I was a little angry too. But I ended up canceling my hotel, and I flew back that night. I was like, screw it, I'm getting out of here. I just did not like it at all. Now, having said that, I went back this year. I did have a much better experience. The whole stadium is under construction, everything around it, they're completely renovating. So in a way it was worse, but it felt better because, oh, they're doing something about it. That's good,
Yeah.
you know. The fans there were really nice, actually. And even after, I think when I posted my blog, it was I think it was one of the videos. I don't know, maybe there's a lack of Jags content creators.
There's
But it
there's
got
a
a
guy
lot
named
of
Jags on Tap, which is hilarious, by the way.
Jags on
They're
Tap. Yeah,
Jags on Tap is hilarious.
nice.
Yeah, I saw that one, and I was watching, and I was like, there's so many Chiefs fans here, and the Jags winning. I was like, this is absolutely perfect anyways.
That was fun. That was fun. I my vlogs earlier, you said very nice things about my vlogs, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. I think the weird thing for me is I never know what's going to happen. Like Monday night in Dallas, I thought I was going to get a ton of tailgating. And I showed up, and there was a Raider fan that was there that reached out to me. So I went to where he was posted up in the tailgate,
Yeah.
talked to him for a while, and I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get more of the tailgate. And I walked towards the stadium, and there's huge parking lots, and they're full of cars, and there were no people. There were no tents. There was nobody tailgating. And I was looking around like, did I miss the game? What happened? And I suddenly was like, I guess I'm just going to go in the stadium. Now, once you're in the security, there's a lot outside of the stadium, but inside of security that you can do. But I guess I don't know. I don't know if that's the thing, is to just go in and kind of do your pregame there, or maybe there's tailgates further away from the stadium that I just didn't find. But I didn't really get any interactions. I didn't get to talk with people out, at the tailgate. And it's really strange how some games will be a lot of that, and some games will be none of that.
Yeah, I always say the Monday night games are really iffy for tailgating, or the Thursday night games, because of like people are leaving work, trying to get down to the stadium, everything.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how I view it. Like the Sunday, like at 1 o'clock or 4:25, or the 4:25 or the Sunday night game usually depends. It's usually a rocking crowd, anyways.
Yeah.
But like the Monday night crowd could be very iffy, also depending on the weather too. Also,
but I have to say, both Rams and Chargers here at SoFi, with it being on the West Coast, the game's at 5:15, so people are getting out there, and the tailgates were huge.
Yeah,
they were huge. So I was actually surprised by that, because of the whole traffic thing in LA and work. I guess nobody works in LA. So
sounds like Miami almost. Nobody works in Miami anyway.
Yeah. Like I saw the Dodger. I missed the Dodger. I'm a Dodger fan, and they won the World Series. They
Congrats.
had a huge parade, and I was in Dallas. I was so mad about that. But it's like there's so many people out there. It's like, yeah, nobody's working today.
Nobody's working today, and plus, finding Uber or anything just to go out to find a spot for parade is like, nah, I'm good. I'll watch it on the television at least.
Yeah.
So, all right, Brian, where can everyone follow your vlog and so everyone can follow you and help you out with this journey? This is the coolest thing ever, and I will definitely hit you up when the Eagles do play the Raiders. By the way,
nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, all social media platforms. It's under All In Autumn Wind, which is a very Raider expression. The Autumn Wind is a Raider. But All In Autumn Wind. I post longer, like 20-minute videos on YouTube showing kind of the whole game day experience that I have. And on the other social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, etc., I'll post a lot of shorts, reels, interactions, or maybe some updates on where I am. So it's kind of a combination there. But yeah, All In Autumn Wind.
Definitely. I will definitely hit you up when the Eagles do play the Raiders. That's Sunday at 1 o'clock, which will be very fun. I'll say that. Brian Fowler, you are now recurring the pod. We'll talk about it more of your journey, hopefully later this year. Anyways, I'll say.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. I've got a few more weeks to finish the first record. The fastest one ends on Thanksgiving, and it's I should pass the record for the most games in a few weeks in Houston. I think it's November 20ish. In theory, I pass it, but we see. I won't know until the end of the season when I submit all of the information and the evidence to Guinness. They review it, they scrutinize it, and then they tell me if I got it or not. Even if I go to all 56 games or 50 games, I won't know until Guinness actually signs off on it.
All we need is the plaque. That's all we need. We're
That's right.
as what Al Davis says, just win the plaque, baby. Just
Yeah,
win,
there we
baby.
go.
Brian, thank you as always. Appreciate it.